Got Matt Keck to his left, and they've got B.B. Murray to his right. And between those two, we can just hope that they'll keep it clean.
I know it. I haven't been around this much studliness in a long time. I don't know what to do.
Here's the thing. I work here, okay? Yeah. I want listeners to know. They've asked me, am I a volunteer? I mean, I'm a paid employee here at WBNO and the Q, or B-Rock, excuse me, in the Q. Yeah. So I'm not just in here.
No, man.
I know it.
It's amazing, but they do pay him to be here.
I know. I've seen him do work. He does good work. I've seen him.
He does good work.
I've had to pick him up a few times, and man, he's on it. I mean, he makes sure he has his checklist to make sure everything's good before he leaves, right, BB?
1,346 times.
See? Yep.
No, in reality,
I thought you meant when you picked him up that you had to pick him up off the floor.
Well,
you actually had to help him up off. There's been nights around here, I think, that the BB gets in a little trouble.
You're streaming the
You're
streaming the audio of this
audio. It's a very scary thing with BB Murray.
That's true.
You're streaming audio of this. I see.
Hey, Ben. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Heck yeah. We're always streaming live on the throttle. I mean, people from all over the world are listening to us right now.
At this point in time.
We even got some new fans.
Good.
I think they're supposed to be listening today. I hope.
I wouldn't doubt it, man, because it looks like you had a good week last week in Tulsa. Right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's a lot of storylines we covered. We put some up on the Throttle website, but and to recap some of that, I'll probably start out like this. There's an Auto Week writer from Auto Week magazine that's never been to the Chili Bowl. Okay. And he probably said it the best, is what I read last night. He wrote, he says he always tried to figure it from afar. He watched it. It's like he couldn't understand why is these people paid to just sit in the pits, or why all these people go to Tulsa for a week and all that. And he says when he walked in the building this week, he says the warmth, the joy of 15,000 people. He says there's no pretense, there's no security guards around anybody, there's no barricades. He says there's 15,000 people having the biggest week party there is, mingling around with everybody. And he says that to him, he says he found out why they do it. Because he says Chili Bowl is more than an event, and it's more than a race. It's a community. And that's what it is. I mean, everybody, it's kind of neat. And, we did it off air because I know BB gets shy about this time. But to tell you what the community is, one of our former guests on here, John Ivey, we was talking about BB out there, and some people are asking me, well, John won some races in Fort Wayne a couple weeks ago, and his cut was $150 each race that he won, so he donated $100 of that to BB for his e-site raising, because they love the fact that here's a guy that's never been to races, and we bring him to the races a couple times. John Ivey won the one race that BB was at. Yes, and that is the Waynesfield one, and he goes, and I was telling him, how excited Ben was here to see stuff like that, and he goes, and a lot of people said we got to keep Ben coming to the races and watch this stuff, because we need fans like him too, because as we know, BB does a lot of coverage on Facebook and stuff, and man, these guys appreciate it, and that's why they want to help Ben out.
I'll be darned.
Well, I'm very appreciative of the racing community for that. A lot of e-siders, as we call ourselves, have different activities and hobbies. There's sewists, there's pianists, there's people who are woodworkers and stuff.
Sure. I'm
a guy who can go down to Waynesfield or Eldora or maybe eventually Attica or Oak Shade or something and just have a fun Saturday night. There's no money in it for me. It's just going to have fun and taking pictures, and I post them online to these Facebook pages and whatnot. But it's just it is a community, and I want to give a personal thank you to John Ivey and Ivy Racing for what he has done.
Yeah, and the food vendors love to see BB.
That's right.
As well, too. Because,
that's right.
Man, there's not many guys that will taste as many foods as what BB.
Well, see, he should have been in Tulsa then, because there's a lot of good food vendors there, and plus we go out pretty good when we go out to eat every day before the races. We hit a new place every day, so it was right up BB's valley.
What do you focus on? Steaks, burgers? What's your game? I mean, what's your big meat down there, if you will?
Well, usually burgers, steak, whatever. Usually it centers around who's got good alcohol when we go.
Who's got the best bar?
Right.
Yeah, looking at most of the time with these guys. On the Throttle being brought to you today by your Brian Napa Store, by Suburban Auto, by AJ Door, Brian Ford Lincoln, Jason Dietz Customs Collisions, Trailer Repair, Fast Forward Motorsports, and Keck Lawn Service and Snow Removal. And Big Mac Keck is sitting right here with us today. If you need your driveway, still worked on or whatever, Matt's number 419-553-6976, and you can give Matt a call, and he'll come out and take care of your drive or your whatever you need. If you need it plowed, doggone it, he'll be out there making all that kind of stuff happen. All right, guys. Now let's get down to business. We've reintroduced. I guess one last thing I've got to ask is there a Jack Astor's out there in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, there's some Jack somethings, but I don't think that.
No Jack Astor's at all.
No, I don't think
there's
so.
some in Wisconsin though.
How about a loose mule? What was the other one that was there?
You messed up.
There was a stumbling monkey.
There you
Oh
go.
my
Stumbling
goodness!
monkey.
We went there. There's stumbling monkey.
So there you go. Maybe when you go out next year, you need to take BB with you and take him to the Stumbling Monkey.
Well,
I think
we can do
probably
that.
Be a whole lot of fun.
That's right. I think we could do that.
actually talked about that. It'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be
Hell
fun.
yeah.
You know how much chicks he get?
I know it.
He
He could be my wingman.
He could be your wingman.
Heck yeah.
This could be a situation where
And as Maverick says,
Yeah.
you never leave your wingman.
there you
That's
go.
right.
You never leave your
He's
wingman.
my Rio. He's my
Yeah.
responsibility.
That's right.
Oh,
See?
there you go.
See, this trip's sounding better for next year already. I mean,
You know what I'm
Watch
telling
you
you?
drink.
I
too.
know.
Watch you drink.
Yeah, he's got to wait, and you got a designated driver too to get you home if you need.
Oh,
to.
we've had one. We had one of those all week. Mr. John Ivy was our.
Did
DJ
you-
John
all
Ivy
week.
was your
Yeah,
designated
he
driver
was
this week.
He was.
Wow, that's well,
He was.
Kudos
Well-
to John Ivy for first donating money to BB Murray and his foundation now to get him another pair of e-sights, and then also for getting you guys around
I know
without any trouble there in Tulsa all week long.
Well,
They
that's
have
right.
driverless Ubers out there. I was going to send you a text and say, why don't you call an Uber? But
Wow.
because some of them are driverless out there.
What the heck? I mean, we want one with a driver. It'd be no fun if we couldn't heckle him a little bit.
There you
Ask
go.
poor John Ivy. I mean,
Was there ever a time there, okay, first of all, that you were up on two wheels with Mr. Ivy driving?
there was one time I think we was up on a few curbs.
Maybe I don't want to go. Well, I will.
I mean, a few things like that.
That's
Could have been a few left turns on red.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's about 4 in the morning. What are you gonna do?
well,
I
and
mean,
it's Tulsa, man.
That's
It
right.
might be legal out there. You never
Right.
can tell them to
Right.
do it at least once or
Right.
twice, and then generally they'll pull you over and let you know that no, that's not legal. In
It was
Tulsa.
funny because they was talks similar to that. They was talking about smoking in the arena
Yeah.
because they don't allow smoking in the arena. And they said, the first time you get a warning,
Okay, all right.
the second time, you get a fine, you get a
Okay,
ticket wrote
okay,
to you. And they
okay.
said the third time, the fire department thinks you're on fire.
So they just kind of act accordingly. at
Yes,
that point
they
in
act
time.
accordingly.
It sounds like you were having a good time last week, though, man. Every time we called you out there for your reports, and great job with all those reports last week.
Yeah, it's always good. And, recap, going into the final night, with 350 of 360 cars race. So there's 29 main events on Saturday.
Okay.
And it was a heck of a finish. Christopher Bell ended up getting his third in a row
Yeah.
win, but he only led one lap, the last one.
Wow.
Logan Seavey took the lead. Started out, then
Yep.
Kyle Larson. It's been a Larson-Bell battle forever, and Larson had it. Had it won. Switched his line with a couple laps ago because there's a big screen out there, and I think he's seen Bell coming on the bottom, and man, he just he wasn't that good on the bottom, and turn 2 on the last lap, Bell forced his way in there, and when we say forced, yes, there was some heavy contact.
Sure. Okay.
So Larson kind of returned it in turn middle of 3 and 4, and they was banging coming off turn 4, and Bell took his third win
I'll be
in a
darned.
row.
That's amazing. Now, was Seavey the young fellow that was from Tulsa then, too, the 16-year-old?
No, he was he's a young guy, just coming on the scene. But
Okay.
no, the 16-year-old did decent. He didn't make it into the A main. He was running the B, and he ended up 10th in the B main, but still a huge accomplishment. for somebody like that.
Yeah.
You know, and to tell you how it is, Zeb Wise, another 16-year-old that was covering from Angola,
Yeah.
you know, with Clausen Marshall, he only made it up to 9th in the B main, and Cannon McIntosh made it 10th. So they ran 9th and 10th in the B main.
Wow.
So
You know, I'll tell you what.
And they took
that
7.
is an accomplishment. You know, when you're 16 years old and
Oh, yeah.
you're in the top 10 in the B main.
Yes.
After how many racers, how many cars?
yeah, 350.
I'd say that those two young fellows walked away thinking they did a pretty good job.
Well, yeah, and just to put that in perspective, you know, we covered Sammy Swindell.
Yeah.
His highest he made it through the D main, got 13th in the C.
Yeah.
But guys that finished behind him was Kevin Thomas Jr. was just voted the national non-wing national of the nation driver of the year.
Wow.
And then Aaron Reitzel, that was the all-star champion, finished 14th and 15th behind Sammy.
Wow.
Now these kids are up, you know, in the B main. And then you had a guy like J.J. Yaley from NASCAR. He's 24 years at Chili Bowl. He won the O, won the N, and was in a transfer spot, and he got 3rd in the M, so he's in his 4th main, which he's made it through 8 before, and he's going for that record, but in a transfer spot and flipped on the last lap.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
I mean, and stuff, and you know. And another thing we talked about out there was the women drivers. You know, Matt. You know, I didn't get Matt's autograph because Dale Jr. wasn't there, but Dale Jr.'s niece and Dale Sr.'s granddaughter,
Yeah.
Carson Eldridge, she won the H main out there.
I'll be darned.
And I tell you what, she's impressive for not ever running a midget. She's with Tucker Boat, which is Billy Boat, former Indy 500 starter and Chili Bowl champ. His son races, and they got some cars. Well, she got taken out by Sheldon Hodenshield in the one of the other mains. You know, she was running good, and she was impressive. I mean, because she was battling, and so impressive that Tucker Boat is now looking for funding to try to run her on the full 2019 USAC Midget Tour,
I'll be darned. Wow.
if
Yeah.
they can get it together.
I guess that is very impressive at that point.
Yeah,
No
so
doubt about that.
so what I'm thinking, you know, I mean, they're looking for funding. Maybe if Matt wants to meet Dale Jr., maybe, you know, he can sponsor a midget team. You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
well, you know,
it's probably only going to be like $100,000 or something, 50 grand, 60 grand.
You got to believe he made the bulk of that over the
Yeah.
weekend, you know, with all the snow that was
You would
around there
think.
and everything. And he's working. He said he's working like 19-hour days. So
Well, it don't look like he buys razors, so.
he doesn't do that. There's no doubt about that. We're talking racing. It's cold outside, but it's warm inside, and we're on the throttle here on the Q96.5. Let's pay some bills. When we come back, we'll talk a little more right after this.
Cool. Dane Miller's listening now, too.
And back here on the throttle on the Q96.5 FM as we, on this Martin Luther King Day, talk racing. Most people, a lot of people would have the day off today, but not Dwayne Hancock.
That's right.
There's never a day off in the racing world, is there, Dwayne? Huh?
No, and it's funny, we was talking about that more and more, some of these drivers, the racing seasons, well, the All-Star Circuit Champions, Tony Stewart's All-Star Circuit Champion sprints start January 30th in Florida.
Oh, wow.
You
really?
know, and Tony's whole crew takes care of the track, or Tony's got a crew that takes care of the track out there at Chili Bowl. But like guys like Aaron Reitzel as champ, you know, he with running All-Stars and the Outlaws, he gets done racing in November. Then he raced, St. Louis indoors, then the Chili Bowl, which a lot of prep goes in the Chili Bowl, and you're out there for a week. There's not a lot of downtime anymore if you're a full-time racer, which is good if this is what you do for a living, like these guys, a lot of these guys. So, but yeah, we was talking about that a lot. Some of the other stories we had, well, we talked about flips. They do a flip count out there.
Okay.
And Christopher Bell, after he won, was doing his burnout. And he flipped over in victory lane.
I saw that. I saw that. And they had to come out and flip you back over.
Yeah. Which they broke last year's deal, but that was the 75th flip of the week.
Wow.
Yeah, but and some of these are pretty nasty, but some of them they'll roll over, and these midgets are, you can't believe how tough some of them are. They'll flip back over and push right off and keep racing. Some of the guys was upside down 2-3 times for the week.
Now, who was the guy that they showed the picture and it looked like he was about 100 feet in the air?
Oh, yeah, that's Tracy Hines that we talked about. Yes. And he came back from that and passed 39 cars that night. And from the C to the B to the A.
How high was he? I mean, with a camera like that, at times you can take a picture and it make it seem a lot higher than what he was. But how far off the ground was he?
He was a good 25, 30 feet off the air.
And how
off
did
the
he
ground.
Get that high in the air?
Just climbing a tire. They're going 75, 80 in there. You climb a tire and you go flying through the air. And
that was a great picture. Whoever got that picture, it was a spectacular shot.
And Tracy retired from active racing, which he moved to Norwalk in the Norwalk area here, Ohio, from Indiana. He's one of the only Triple Crown champs. There's 6 Triple Crown USAC champs in the history, and he's one of them. And but he's still racing the Chili Bowl, and he had a hard charge coming up Saturday too, and ended up getting an incident. Then something broke on the car after that. So T. Hines. It's funny because I know them real well, and I seen his wife. She come up to me afterwards. I'm like, "How you doing?" She goes, "Oh my God." She goes, "A lot better than I was." She says, because she goes, "I only look at one part of the track all the time." She goes, "Of course, that'd be the part that he crashes in." And she said some of the stuff that Matt Ketke says, on air, but we can't say.
We're not allowed to say.
So
sugar and
yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, look like spit or something like that.
Those kind of things.
Yeah. So.
So all in all, I mean, how was the trip back home? Was it decent? I mean,
yep. Hit a few slippery spots in between Terre Haute and Indianapolis. Seen a lot of semis and trucks in the ditch from either Saturday night or Sunday morning. I'm glad we went when we did, because there's still 4 or 5 real slippery spots, and we've seen at least 15, 16 semis in the ditch from Indy to Terre Haute, or Terre Haute to Indy, and that. But yeah, a good week, and a couple other things we covered. We talked about Brad Loyette a little bit, how he got injured in the shop, and I seen him the other night after his race, after we talked about him racing, going to be on the air, and he made the A-main that night, which was his goal. But instantly after he got out of the car, I mean, he's got ice packs on his hand and can't hardly move it, and said every time his heart beat that he could feel it throbbing, with the pain and that. And he ended up 8th in the E-main on Saturday, which I talked to him. He goes, "Hey," he says, "if I would have knew, last year, say, hey, this is my last Chili Bowl, it's fine." But he says, God didn't give me a chance of that. He says, he goes, "I was determined." He says, "Here's a 31-year-old racer that's raced," like he said. He goes, "I've raced over half my life." He says, "But I got a wife now and a kid." And he says, "My arm, could I race? Probably, but he says it's going to be a lot of pain." He says, "I'm not as good as what I was, and it's kind of dangerous if the hand goes out and I can't turn and get in a crash." He goes, "But I wanted to go out on my terms. I didn't want to be told by a doctor or circumstances that, hey, you're done." He says, and actually Tony Stewart I didn't realize this until the Chili Bowl. And this tells you what kind of a community it is. Tony Stewart and Brad Laurette's not friends by any means, just acquaintances. No idea. Well, Brad's like, hey, said that doctor said I'll never race again. And I guess Tony Stewart called him up and says, bull crap. Take me to some of my doctors, and then they found out the original people that pieced him together put like the wrong plate in there, and it was flexing. Oh, no. And so they did a surgery and put some bone that the bones wasn't healing, and that Tony got him to the doctor like in June or July and did the surgery, and that's why it's as good as it is now. And and Tony's like, well, he says, you got to run the Chili Bowl. He says, I will. He says, that'll be my farewell deal. Just
You know what? And all the things. The negative things you hear about Tony Stewart, okay? Because he could be a character.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
And there's no doubt about that. But then all the good things that are done by him that you don't hear about oftentimes as well.
Exactly, and that just shows you, and he's a caring type of guy like that. And yes, he's created several issues in life by his own doing. You bet. But he does a lot of good too, and that's one of the examples right there. I mean, he's like, hey, here's a racer that's in need. And, I've known of stories of people either having their wife had kids or something happened to their family members or they'd be at some of these big races and he'd just fly him on his personal jet back home. I've heard several stories like that. Or like our buddy Danny Smith we talk about from Chillicothe. Right. When he got elected into Sprint Car Hall of Fame a while back, he had a points race that night. And he's like, man, I'm going to have to miss the points race. And he goes, I can't miss the induction of the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Tony's like, don't worry. We'll come pick you up on my private jet. We'll get you to the ceremony and fly you back so you don't miss your points race that night so you can still be the point champion and stuff. So stuff like that, yeah. I mean, it goes a long ways, behind the scenes that people don't know or see, know. Yeah. And there's a lot of stories that way. I mean, Jeff Gordon was hanging around there. And that was the thing, Bobby Unser came and hung out with Sammy Swindell all the one day, and you had Mario Andretti around there. I mean, it's just amazing how many people actually go to the Chili Bowl and how popular it's become. And the crowd just keep getting more massive and more massive. And we had a first-timer with us, our buddy Charlie Truman that's sponsored Chad Wilson for the last several years. And John Henry's a late model local guy, races Eldora and Oakshade and that. It's his first Chili Bowl, and he's like, man, I can't wait to come back till next year. I mean, once you go there, that's kind of how it is because it's just the racing's always good. It's a good atmosphere, good fun. I mean, a lot of people.
And then there's the after hours.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of good stuff there. You can make that a lot of fun if you want to.
There's no doubt about it.
There is.
We are talking racing on the Q right now. We're on the throttle, all brought to you by your local Brian Napa store. By Suburban Auto, AJ Door, Brian Ford Lincoln, Jason Dietz Customs Collision Trailer and Trailer Repair, Fast Forward Motorsports, and Keck Lawn Service and Snow Removal. And we'll be back to talk about what kind of racing is left because we are in the middle of the winter right after we take this time out.
Did you see his car brought 90 grand?
No.
Yeah, that's what it brought, 90 grand.
Brought 90 grand?
Yep.
Now, was that good or bad for him? Do you know?
I think it sounded pretty decent because I guess they had another one there similar to his, and his went for quite a bit more than that one. I think that one only went for like 70-something or 70. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Be nice.
So I don't know what buyer. I'm sure they probably take 10% out for buyers.
Yeah. Well, from what I understand, they add that on. They add that on top to the guy that buys it. Okay?
All right.
Because I've watched a lot of those damn things, and I think that whatever that number is the fee that you're going to pay. So you pay Jason 90 grand, and you pay the guy selling it 10%.
Yeah, 10%. Right.
That might be. So
right on.
So you really paid almost $100,000
right.
or right in that ballpark, and Jason doesn't have to pay that.
He sounded like he was happy with that, I believe. So
that's a lot of damn cash.
Oh hell, that is.
It's a lot of cash.
it's done right for the first time. It's been my experience. And it's done economically. So from my perspective, why wouldn't you?
Back here for our final segment today on this Martin Luther King Day. Cold and nasty and cold outside, but we're talking racing, and it was nice and warm for the Chili Bowl, the 33rd annual Chili Bowl. Now, Dwayne, what's left? I mean, where are you racing this weekend is always the question that I ask you.
I'm not. I mean, there's a couple weeks all really. What is it? Today's 21st. 10 days until they start in Florida. So most of the teams will go back home, and the ones that ain't flying to Australia or something, and get ready. The season kicks off. For me, the next one probably won't be till March sometime, more than likely. Oh, well, besides the Supercross. I got Supercross coming up in Detroit at the end of February. So another indoor deal. That's kind of a little different deal. I try to go to at least once a year. So unless, you never know. Could end up in Florida or something. The other guys at work probably won't. They wouldn't like that.
They don't care.
There's a couple things going on. We could go to Florida, but the All-Stars go out there. The Outlaws, Late Miles, the Modifieds, and the Late Miles was just out in Arizona the week before, and Bobby Pierce was going for winning 4 in a row, and he won 3 and broke on the last one. So sounds like he's off to a good start again this year. Former World 100 winner in that. But one thing we didn't mention, we've got to talk about your neighborhood down there at the Chili Bowl.
Yeah.
Luke Hall running for Rookie of the Chili Bowl won the I-Main on Saturday.
Okay.
And it was charging up through the H and had some issues. Something happened to the car, but pretty good run for a local boy, never ran a midget in his life, never sat in a midget in his life, but a good non-wing sprint car driver in the area. And one other guy we covered, young Cole Bodine, 20 years old from Rossville, Indiana, who we talked about him driving for the Clausen Marshall team. Yep. And, they had a great story on him earlier this week because he ran the Chili Bowl last year with a different team. And, he said, went up to Tim Clausen here, said at the end of 2017, he says, my dad and I, we've raced micro sprints. He supported me, but he says, we don't have the finances going any farther. He goes, how would somebody like me get into a car like yours without any financing? And Tim's like, here's what it's going to take. But I can't guarantee you a ride.
Sure.
But what I can guarantee you is a wealth of knowledge, unlimited contacts with the right people. And he goes, you got to take the 2018 season, come work for us for free.
Okay. All right.
In the shop.
Okay.
Every day. You can't race.
Okay.
You gotta work for us. And, then we'll see what happens at the end of the season. He says, I can't guarantee a ride, but maybe you'll make enough contacts and enough, acquaintances that either maybe you can find some financing to get in the car, or maybe somebody offer you a ride. Tim says, his kid worked his butt off night and day for six months solid. Well, then Zeb Wise got hurt as, one of the main drivers, and he put Cole in the car twice. It says there's 3 people on the list, and it says their main sponsor, him, and one of the other, and actually Zeb Wise himself says we had 3 people on the list, and we all voted, and they all voted for Cole just because they said of his personality, his work ethic, and that, and here they put him in 2 shows, and he's charged from like 20th to 7th and one. So like, okay, now you got a spot in the Chili Bowl for next year, and he put it in the A-Main.
Wow.
Isn't
that amazing?
Yeah, put it in the A-Main, and his parents were sitting right by us all week. And you talk about proud people. I mean, they had the whole grandstand, our little stand we sitting in, pumped up and cheering for him just to see the excitement. Because, like I said, here's an opportunity of a lifetime. A lot of people don't get that.
Yes.
But, and Tim Clausen, here's a family, as we've mentioned, Brian Clausen, unfortunately lost his life in a midget, and they could have easily closed shop and never been to the racetrack again, but they said that's, they grew up racing, and, Brian wasn't one of that either, so they try to find some young guys, and they say they use it kind of as a development team, because they got Zeb Wise from Angola at 16-year-old. Now they got 20-year-old Cole Bodine, from Rossville, Indiana, that's probably going to end up in one of the cars maybe all year and that too. Then they got, Tyler Courtney, which he's kind of their mainstay right now. So, you know, that's the thing about Chili Bowl too. You have, you know, the popular guys, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Sammy Swindell, you know, Connor Daly was there this year from IndyCar, Landon Castle from NASCAR. You got your Casey Canes, your, you know, guys like that win. But then you have stories like this, your, you know, Cannon McIntoshes, your Carson Eldridges, your Cole Bodines and stuff that, you know, you just there's that many diversified people in there that there's a story. Everybody has a story, but you know, Chili Bowl every year it seems like it produces a underrated or an unknown, I should say, superstar or somebody that's the next, just like it did Jason McDougal last year. Yeah. You know, and well, one time Kyle Larson. I mean, he was sitting around there one day and got in a car because somebody got hurt or sick or something, you know, and that's kind of where he popped onto the deal too. So you get guys like that. So it's more like they said, it's more than just a race, but it's a, you know, whole community. And, you know, it was live on MAV TV. Some people are complaining about that because it was the latest night. They did really good getting the shows done all week, but you know, when you got 350 race cars basically running 29 main events, sometimes you get a little behind from accidents or doing a little extra track prep or something. So it's raceable and gives the fan the best track condition they can because they do a great job of that.
Yeah. How long did it take you to drive out there?
Well, on the way, it took a lot longer than usual because of all the road conditions. Sure. Ended up being, I think, 18 hours or so. Okay. But on the way home, we stopped a little more than we usually do, and we still made it home in 11 hours.
Well, that's not bad at all.
No.
Yeah, so. And you really had all that weather then that I guess they were able to clear off and everything coming back, but still, not too bad. And if somebody is listening to us right now and they're saying, man, I'm going to be part of this next year. When do they start to sell tickets for this thing?
You start looking in March because it will sell out by April or May. And the dates for the 34th annual Chili Bowl Nationals is January 13th through the 18th. Okay. They announced that. And, yeah, it's just neat. And even the pay-per-view deal, they get a lot of people. It's one of the largest, I think it is the largest pay-per-view event of the year of a dirt track deal. Because they pay-per-view all the weeks or all nights of the week, and then if you don't get it, then like I said, the finals are on MAV TV usually every year too, because Lucas Oil is the big sponsor, and Lucas Oil owns MAV TV, so it kind of works out. And the other part is what people don't realize out there: there's a huge trade show and stuff too that goes on. Okay. I mean, there's all kind of vendors. They have the iRacing, which is a huge thing right now. The simulators for that, and they had 5 or 6 other simulators this year, and they actually had $1,000 to win iRacing nationals out there too. Okay. Then the barns out back, they have remote control car nationals. Wow. RC racing nationals during the day. Then they do things like they did a bus trip out to the Starbird farm, which this guy back in the 50s and 60s created all kind of, you know, designs and cars that, you know, ones that look like time machines and that clear back in the 50s and 60s that, you know, look like a futuristic car now or different things. And he's got a huge museum. Well, they did a bus trip out there one morning for people, like the first 100 or 150 people signed up for free, you know, and the Hard Rock Casino sponsors it. So they got all kind of stuff going on, and just there's all kind of stuff going on during the day. They did a benefit auction. They always have in Memorial Brian Clausen, they do a autism benefit out there, and they raised a bunch of money. I think they raised $78,000 or $9,000 at that. Wow. The one night. And another thing, one of the workers out there forever, his name's Don Shoup. He got diagnosed with cancer a couple weeks ago, and they passed the helmet for him Friday or Saturday night because they said, you know, all the grandstands and the fences and all that, I mean, he's been a part of for 20-some years of putting together, and his teams help, you know, pretty much help put everything together. And they raised, just passing the helmets through the stand, $18,078 for him on Saturday night. Holy mackerel. To help with his medical expenses and stuff. But, yeah, there's stuff going on all day. Big concession area, you know, that BB would like because they have some good foods. And one thing I noticed is that they actually did some good deals this year. you know, a lot of people complain about concession prices, which is a little pricier than some places, but they actually had some really good deals this year and some different foods in there and that. So, but yeah, it's just a huge event, and you know, it's definitely a lot of fun, and you meet a lot of people, and it's funny because a group of us are friends from Kansas that I actually met out there 5 years ago, and now we're lifelong friends. I mean, they came up here for Indiana Midget Week. We always meet, and we always try to eat lunch at least one day while we was in the restaurant, and there's a bunch of us there, and the waitress is like, "Oh, you guys in for the chili bowl and all this?" And she goes, "Oh, because we got there late, Shelby and I did." They're like, "Well, because we was doing the radio show. It was the day that we met doing the radio deal," and they're like, "Oh, are you from Kansas too?" They're like, "No, we're from Ohio." And they're like, "Well, how you know these guys?" Like, "Well, I met Chili Bowl 5 years ago, and now we keep in contact, you know, all the time, weekly, and you know, meet each other up at the races or come to each other's houses or what." My buddy Mark actually has some vintage. He's a vintage racer.
Okay.
And he didn't just get it. He's had it now for about 2 years. He's got a 1978 Nance one-end sprint car that's a replica of Sammy Swindell's car from there, and he told me this week, he says, "Hey, if you want to come out and drive that sometime one of the vintage races," he says, "I'll let you." He says, "Because I got a car too." He says, "You got to come out and drive that." He says, "Sometime."
So there's
you know.
vintage racing in your future, it sounds
Well,
like.
you never know. We might have to go to Kansas and try that.
I think you might have to as well. I agree. All right, well, that's going to do it for us today, man. It is time to go back out in the cold. I think the Napa boys are ready to take care of you if you need any kind of a problem out there tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Starter or any of that kind of stuff, right?
Yes, it's been a busy day for that so far, and a lot of diesel treatments and stuff like that, because evidently everybody forgot that had a diesel that when it gets this cold, it don't start real well if you don't put some type of fuel treatment in it. So
so if you need any of those,
it's great for us though.
Yeah, it's all at your Brian Napa store, man, out on Union Street. It's easy to get to, and they're ready to take care of you, whether you need a battery or any kind of fuel additives, or you're just going out and commiserate a little bit about the racing season being open or over, and the weather being cold.
Oh, we got some racing schedules there too, you know, for people that, you know, need some. We got the All-Star one there, and we'll have some more earlier or later on here as they come out. And yeah, you know, come on out and you need that. Or, you know, Matt Keck, I got to thank him too, even though he's sitting here and we've been busting on him a little bit. But he made it where I could get into my garage when I came home.
There you go.
I didn't even know that he did it. And I would go pull in. It's like, huh, look at that.
What a guy.
I know it.
I'm telling you what, man. That's why we like Keck Lawn Service and Snow Removal, man. That's exactly why we like those boys. You can call them at 419-553-6976 if you need Matt, any of his services right now to get your driveway plowed, sidewalks cleaned, or just a friendly guy to come by and chat with for a little while. That'll wrap it up for us on the Throttle today. All brought to you by your Brian Napa Store, by Suburban Auto, by A.J. Dorr, Brian Ford Lincoln, Jason Dietz Customs Collision Trailer and Trailer Repair, and Fast Forward Motorsports. We'll talk again right after the noon news again, a week from today, on Mondays, as we always do, right here on the Q, 96.5 FM.
Dane says it's not that cold where he's at. All right. That bastard.